Gaeilge Weekly is brought to you by Learn Irish Online. For way more shows, videos, podcasts and courses for learning the language, head to learnirishonline.com or patreon.com/learnirishonline.
You've been the best of times, you walk me through my darkest days. Why must I turn around? I ask myself. This just ain't fair, so hard to bear. I'm not really sure these days. You walk away, you don't
Hello, Jigwits. How are we doing? Comes to Tom Woods this week on Sockton Show. Welcome in. Sit down. Falsus Jack. See she's. This is Gaeilge Weekly, episode number 109. Show Gaeilge Weekly. Agron. Céad is an Lee. I'm Liam from Learn Irish Online. It's Mr. Liam O Learn Irish Online. And as always, Mars Ganach, a big thank you for tuning in this week. Or mil mad as tuanal isteacht on Sockton Show. It's launch day here at Learn Irish Online, so law on launchal atá ann inniu ag Learn Irish Online, so busy and heads a small bit over the place gnóthach agus tá min so it's fut na háte, but that's okay. Tá sé sin cearc lór. I'll be talking a bit more about what exactly we're launching in about 10 or 15 minutes or so, provided you're listening on one of the free platforms on Spotify or Apple or wherever. Má tá tú éisteacht their Spotify, no Apple, no é náteile by méid labhairt faoi sin, by méid labhairt faoin rud a bhfuil muid ag launchal inniu. Ag gan jet nóméid in about 10 minutes or so I won't bore you with it now. Ní mé hun ladsrán a chur ort Dirk anis foi, but busy here in the office for sure. Was able to have a more chilled out day yesterday. Vi man land law bioganín istócha níos ré chúisi a bheith agam bit more kinda relaxed day, I guess. No law níos súvni agam inné. I was chatting a bit about that. I always record the first two versions of the podcast on Monday. Go only being make tafalu on Céadaoin gen fud creile on loon. And then I record this version, the Abhaid Ní Simplí version, and sin being make tafalu on lagan Abhaid Ní Simplí on March. So on Tuesday. So I was chatting a little bit about yesterday about trying to get back into the rhythm, get back into routine. We make larts in the Madr le stocha ag déanamh iireacht fiú arás on gnáthimh back to the routine. Agus, Mars Oldíomh má tá sibh ag éisteacht gach seachtain, as you guys will know if you're listening every week. I talk about a lot, especially during the summer, how weird it is the summer here, céadchomhpháirtíocht agus atá sé an saoir anseo, compared to, let's say, being back at home ag gcomhpháirtíocht le mar hampla a bheith arás in Éireann, because in Ireland summer is when everything's going on. I spoke about it on the pod I think 2 or 3 weeks ago now. Bhí mé go labhairt faoi thart ar caiiciis nó trí seachtain ó hin anis ceapam about my trip back home faoi my hearse arás abhaile in Éireann, and how much it surprised me and how much I'd forgot, I guess, give it iontas a chur sé agus stocha the extent that I forgot it, go nearna my dermid seo that in Ireland there's so much going on in the summer, and everything kind of, not everything, but most things really that are worth going to or that are happening across the year are happening in the summer. Chuid is mó gin rudí a bhí in the catharlú I written a blina bean to their shul so sour. Look, over the last month or 6 weeks even, I was at the Tradfest up in Belfast. Vi me ag an Tradfest mar chuid de féile an phobal as part of féile an phobal I mail firsta. At the same time, the Galway races were on. Vi Ross in Gaeilge shul. About 2 weeks before that, the Galway Arts Festival had been on. Hart ar caiiciis rivishin. Vi an Galway Arts Festival shul. Last week Oasis, of course, I think as well. This week was Robbie Williams playing, Captain Girl Robbie Williams on Shin Freshen, and there was a NFL college, or not NFL college, but American football college game in Dublin freshen. Bhí cluiche Pellamar Connacht shul in moille átha clia as well. And those are just a few things I can think of off the top of my head. Of course, all the music festivals that would have been going on from All Together Now to Longitude, Electric Picnic now next week. By Electric Picnic or Shul, I guess it'll be on next week. This Doilum Gomaish Shul on Sockton Shahugan. I haven't seen anything about it. Níl aon rud faoi feice agam, but normally it's the first week of September. Taking up being say heart on Gaeilge Seachtain nó on Chéad Seachtaine to bhí mion fóver. But here it's different. It's kind of like the school year here because it's so hot in the summer and because everybody leaves. It's around this week, kind of the last week of August, first week of September, on Seachtain Yearnach imi Lunasa agus on Chéad Seachtain and sin imi bhíon fóver that things start getting back to normal. Gamín rudí ag fiú on Gnáthluas agus on Gnáthród is dócha. And I kind of had that yesterday. I was like, right, Monday, of course you have to do this Monday. Caiithú é seo a dhéanamh ar an lún. Want to get back to the running. Haven't gone for a run in Seville since June, I think. And Iachime ag ri is Seville le gá nó 3 bhí anús for the last 2 or 3 months. Oh, bhí meitheamh. So went back yesterday morning and kind of got up early. I woke up early. So bhí me imúchúiseacht go luath, and I said, you know what, I'll go out for a run here. I want to do this week. The temperature is not as bad. It's cool in the morning. Tá sé cool ar mad in news. Rocha, it's not too hot. Anyway, went out for a run, and I was really surprised. I was out for a run at 7:30. Bhí me moille ag láthair tar éis seacht, and it was dark. Bhí sé dark, and I was thinking, hold on, still August, still the summer. We're in Spain. Why is it still dark at 7:30? Even when I got back at 8, it wasn't exactly bright. Few nor a dil mé rash ag a hook the clug. Ní turhan grau sé an ag gheall nó ein rud mar sin or anything like that. It was still fairly dark. Bhí sé fós soch durka. And I think it showed me how little over the last 5 years I've been living in Spain le cuaig bliana anús agus mise imachóní anseo sa Spáin. It showed me how Spáin sé doma. I've not really been up early many of those days in those 5 years. Ní rá mé imúchúiseacht go luath ar maidin agus sé a seacht a hook the clug ar maidin mór an in éon leighinn de really le cuaig bliana anús. Because I was thinking, is it normally this dark, this early? And of course I realised, and I might have mentioned this, I'm sure I have on the podcast before, Cínte gra mé láirt faoi seo on Bud Craile River, but you know, often people say, oh, weather must be great in Spain, that must be one of the best things about living there. And outside of all the cultural stuff, seachas na rudí cultúrtha, whether it be the food, the language, the people, the lifestyle, whatever else it might be, seachas on bíogs and cultúrgus and tangogs and dhaoine agus gach. One of the best kind of artificial, wrong word, níos on feabhas, but kind of one of the best shallow things, or things that really in the grand scheme of things aren't that important, but do have an effect on your life. Ceant and the ruddy nachhfuil ro hábhaach, but tá tunker ega air the hail. That is obviously the weather, but more so than the weather, because it gets just too hot here. Been to row, yeah, on shot. I would say it's the brightness. You know, if you think of November, December, January back home, Mátá tosaigh smaoinemh faoi mína nullag, mína saona, míanar, arash in Éireann. It's dark at like 4:30. Been so dark ag láthair tar éis 4. If anyone's listening from the UK, it's even worse. It's about 4 o'clock or 4:15 in a lot of places such as London, over towards the east, Jalan Nachnig, Sula London, on sin air on Tíomhthóir. To head to Déanta, to Hasana. While here, it's normally about 6:30. Jagan beans heart there, lahar trisha or maybe Christmas Day or something. Really, the depths of it, maybe in Seville gets dark at 6. Let's say bean shit there, keg shay, a chlug, it would be even later somewhere like Galicia or somewhere to the west. Fake shay, few Nice Janie yachting, so like Galicia. But of course, you got to just create more brightness or have more brightness in the day, really. So I forgot that time, of course, gets taken out from the morning. Being on Tom Shin. Imiha on Sin Ermadsen. And it's funny if you look at the map of Europe and the map of time zones. So tá sé gran for matatuig féchant learscal na Hurpa agus learscal time zones chimpel na Hurpa. Why? Ken fa? Because it doesn't really make sense that Spain is in the time zone that it's in. Níl mór an cíal really goil on Spáin sa time zone in Wiltshire. Obviously, if you go on holidays, pretty much anywhere, you'd be going to holidays in Europe. It'd be France, Germany, Italy, Croatia, wherever else it might be. You'll change your watch 1 hour on the plane. Mátá tú ag dul leithin Sira, go an rank an Ghearmán, an Idal, an Croats, Bairt, the Orador a Ahrú an Etsalin. So you'll have to change your watch on the flight forward by 1 hour. Caithí tú a churáid le or one agus an sin arás no sheer nor atá tú ag fiú Éireann and back again 1 hour when you return to Ireland. And then if you look kind of straight line down, obviously Ireland, UK are in the same time zone to Éire agus an Ríoch Déanta. So time zone Céan agus an Fortin Gael freshen very much on the same line. But Spain is on the same line as the two countries as well. You know, Portugal is lined up with Ireland and then Spain more so with the UK, but we're all kind of in that same zone west of France. Tá muid goléir sa zone snát céanna go háirithe ar an taobh seo, John Spain, especially on this side of Spain. So why is Spain an hour ahead of Portugal, UK, and why is Spain with the rest of Europe, even though that makes no geographical sense? Cén fábal an Spain mar an chuid den Orp cénach bhfuil éine cíal le sin ó thaobh na trólaíochta de? Well, it's actually because of Franco. And during the 30s, the 40s, around the Second World War, so buine sé le Franco, so i ri na trucadí, na caracadí, i ri an dara cogad Déanta. Franco wants to be more aligned with Mussolini, more aligned with Hitler, more aligned with the Axis powers in Europe. Bhí sé géirí a bheith níos congri, closer is dócha leis an Ghearmán, leis an Idal, le Hitler, le Mussolini. And because of that, he decided he was going to be in the same time zone as Germany and Italy. Dúirt sé nó rinne sé an chinú gra session, ní bháin session, not only him, but everyone in Spain, of course, and still to this day, everyone in Spain grá siad chuna bheith mar chuid gen UTC +1 or +2, whatever it is. And it's funny kind of that, you know, something as small as that, like even the idea, let's say when I was launching this course that you're going to hear about now. So that big news, as you might have seen on other platforms across Learn Irish Online, is that our new course is now available. I've been working on this all throughout the summer and it is finally here. It is Gaeilge Weekly, the big guide. It is a deep dive, comprehensive look at Munster Irish to hope you understand it a lot better. After going through this course, which as always at learnirishonline.com is completely self-paced and you've lifetime access to the course, you should feel significantly more confident in listening to native speakers from the Cork and Kerry Gaeltachts. It's now available on learnirishonline.com. If you're unsatisfied with it for any reason within the first 5 days after purchase, you get your money back, no questions asked. If you have any questions about it, give us an email or message over on Instagram and hopefully you'll enjoy it and be able to understand more podcasts such as Gaeilge Weekly, but that have more Kerry, Cork and in general Munster-based speakers on them. Available now at learnirishonline.com, Gaeilge Weekly, the big guide. So when I was launching that course this morning, nar bhí me ag lánsáil an chóirsa sin Imagine there, by the way, if you're listening on Patreon, there'll have been no jump cut there, so that'll sound a bit weird for you guys, but don't worry. Mátá tú éisteacht ar Patreon, well, chance no, cínta, nor huaile sibh ein ad, no ein fógra, no ein jump cut on sin. So Beidir go mai sibh you need éisteacht, but don't worry, nothing weird has happened. Nobby borha ní leon rud éisteacht tar éis tarlu. But for example, when I was launching this course, this morning, all the advertisement had to be 9 a.m. Monday or Tuesday, 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, a ní clog madsin to mort, a ní clog madsin to mort. But of course, I was getting it set up and putting it in on my computer as 10 o'clock in terms of the kind of back wall, you know, scheduling. Okay, this Patreon post goes up at 10 o'clock on the 26th by on post show or Patreon ag dulsus ag zehu clog on sin an sheola is fed. So even just small stuff like me teaching Irish here and scheduling my posts and having to keep that hour in mind, few ruddy buga like Misha Savlin Gavila is a kuig in the year 2025 ag skeds all ruddy because the whole cabhrú ladini on Gaeilge Olam is affected by a decision that Franco or someone like that made 80-90 years ago. tSagairt ag cinna ar rinne Franco nó duine mar sin 8 nó nócha leanúint. I think that's funny sometimes. Captain Gold Shin Granver. I sometimes think back to something one of my history teachers at school told me. Orintha bín mé ag smaoine ras gur rud a dúirt ceann ta mo bhúntrééis stara linn nó linn an school. One of the things he told me or us at school was that to understand where we are now, you have to study the past. So hun tiiscint a bheith agat céanát a bhfuil muid not just geographically, ní amháin ó thaobh na teoiriachta, but just in general in terms of what the world is like now. Cén chuí a bhfuil an domhan inis. You have to study the past. Caithfí tú staidtear a dhéanamh agus taide a dhéanamh to do research na rudaí a tharla roimhe seo. And it's funny how all those things are interconnected, or the place in Seville I might be living in, the history of that and how it's connected, and so on. Agus mar sinnte. So yeah, also an exciting day. And again, it feels like the 2 times I told the story yesterday on dá or around me Lord Fuin Scale Show in Yay. The stories were different both times. Vina Scale to different on dá or, and you can listen to the other episodes and find out why. If you feel like you've got the level tip, Mava hín to goil on level agat hon a dhéanamh. But the exciting thing is that finally, after a year or 2 of thinking about it, treis blian ago ag smaoine faoi, I'm after buying my first record player to my treis mo chéad Seintor Ceirníní a cheannach. It's been on my mind for the last year or 2. Bhí sé inseen le blian ago a nús. I guess anybody who listens regularly ain't in a bhíon ag éisteacht go minic. You'll know I'm a bit old school in some of these things that I do and prefer kind of like doing things in the analog way as far as rudaí dhéanamh sa stíl analog agus tá mé beagnaín seanóim srutha maidir le cúpla rud cos le seo. I still, listen, I still use ChatGPT all the time for work. My job is completely online na gcónaí bí mé gúsáid ChatGPT le haon opair agus tá mo fust Lena. I'm still going to be using Spotify all the time. I only by my good such Spotify on Tom or Fraud a lot more than anything physical or wadney small, no, ain't rud physical. But I guess for me, I was born in the year 2000, Ruggus of Lean Cabhrú, so at that time records, vinyls were still a big thing in society, economic sin, the vinyls, the Ceirníní fós mar rud more, and still I guess along with tapes at that time, the main way to listen to music, the siad economic sin, le tapes freshen, mar is dócha an phríomhalach chun éisteacht le ceol. But my first memories aren't until maybe 2005, 2006, Beidir Gaeilge Weekly, Gaeilge Sé, Tána chéad cuimhní agam. And I think of one memory, tá cuimhná bháin agam being in my parents' bedroom, a bheith I seomra mahismóirí, and they had a record player, and I think that the Lion King soundtrack on for me or something like that. The on soundtrack no an ceol on scan on Lion King acu siúldom. But apart from that, I don't really have any memory. I suppose I was more so in the CD generation. The mission níosmó sa ghlúin le haid CDs, le haid the Lewisky, and even then, few on sin, when I got to the age where you typically kind of start buying music, nar hric me an ish, nar the typical a bhíon daoine ag tosú le ceol a cheannach. Spotify came in at that time because I was 13 or 14, around 2013, 2014. I think I downloaded Spotify in 2014, 2015 maybe. Beidir gur slowed on my Spotify heart there, Gaeilge Weekly, and even before that there was LimeWire and all these different ways of pirating it. Fi na chuoine, no the bally, difriúil a seo chun a slowed also. I'd never kind of had that experience of physical music in my hand. Around tahi sin agam really. River seo maidir le ceol physical a bheith agam I my love. And so I was really looking forward to at some point kind of investing in something like this. It was on my mind for you make to look more river seo le, I got me and buchaní nargad a chur isteach le on rud show. I was going to do it last year, just forgot about it. Not forgot about, just said I'll do it a bit longer in the future. But my honey and of níosmó stauki and recently said, you know what, I haven't spent much money this year. I haven't spent money on one big thing. Nime treis argad more a chahu aon rud awan. So at some point this year I'll get it, and I decided last week, now's the time to pull the trigger. Initial Tom hun a dhéanamh, and could be an expensive habit to get into. Seans go mai sibh dúnaí costasach. I mean, the record player itself didn't cost too much near chosní. On Saintor Carnally more on, I think, €80 or something second hand, up to €1 Dara Lava. But obviously each record now, if you're buying a decent record, could be 25, 30, €35, even Cuig Euros Fihe, Truck Euro, Truck Cuig. But I'll try to buy second hand and different singles, just different cool stuff. And pretty quickly, even if I buy one a month in a year's time, I could have a load of music, could have about 150, 200 songs altogether. And I don't need everything. There's just a few albums really that I want. Níla cúpla album óhfuil mé éigearí. So that's Driving Sleep by sin extrachu neo. So really looking forward to that. Ig tanu go more le sin. And yeah, I guess I think there's a lot of people my age who are doing the same. Maybe not as much as me. Talan dini or choish lumsa. Which the Jano and Rod Cana is though a better need zirk Maratama Hain, but who are just generally kind of going back to these things. I think vinyl records are selling more now than they were since maybe 2004, 2003, whenever that kind of dip started. Nor hussy is though on dip agus on live shin from when they were actually the main way to listen to music up until now, where it's just more of a fashionable thing to get into and people wanting to return to that. Could see an ish agus is though rud fashion thugs, rud cool, rud beds big hipster like Déanta. More than anything, people just trying to get back to that thing before Déanta Fila Rash cod a bhí acu rivisha. And I think it's a lot of people my age who are kind of doing that, which is good, because if you think 5 or 10 years ago, this could be in terms of anything, this could be in terms of reading physical books. Chance come out show if we aglave lower physical, or it could be listening to the radio more instead of always picking out a podcast. Éisteacht leis an radio ní smó ná just ag piocu pudcraile amach. I think more people are kind of saying, don't just want to do more and more digitalization and more, things being easier in terms of being able to pick anything, níos éasca mods or le ein rud of fiocu amach. So, yeah, really look forward to that, and went out and bought my first records, whom I mach chun mo chéad ga Ceirníní as céad ga album o cheannach from a record shop here in Seville o Shoppa Ceirníní and so is Seville. So gosh, obviously, of course, won't be surprised again to people who listen regularly. Ní bhaid sé seo mar iontas laithí aon duine ag éisteacht go minic leis an bud, but I bought definitely maybe by Oasis wanted What's the Story Morning Glory, but I was going to buy both at some point anyway. Bhí me chun an dá cheann a cheannach ag pointe aigen arénos, and they didn't have What's the Story, which is a bit odd. Ní ra What's the Story acu, maybe because it's the 30th anniversary, maybe there was a deluxe edition out earlier this year and they replaced it with that Beidir Grau deluxe edition, a grand speisialta le fall le haid trucha blin so What's the Story for 30 years of What's the Story, and they replaced the normal ones with that. I don't know, but I got definitely maybe anyway. And the second one was Romance by Fontaine CC, Romance Le Fontaine CC, which came out last year, a Hána Gamach a Nuri, which for me is the best album released by any Irish band or group over the last few years. Gan now Dumsa on album Isfar a Hána Gamach le cúpla blin a nús in Ainter in Éireann, anybody in Ireland agus Aintana Éireannach, and really love Fontaine's CC. Fontaines and 49th and Main, I suppose, would be my two main Irish artists or groups. Sin is dócha an dá grúpa van a ceol nó Arránaí Éireannach a bhín sim agam ontú. I'm not into kneecap at all, and sim agam churbe in kneecap and some of the other big ones at the moment. I think it's an unbelievable golden age for Irish music. It's right orga a shot like ceol na hair, and especially the amount of young music, or music for maybe, I don't like saying for younger people because music is for everyone. But ceol like gach, but music made by younger people, I guess. Ceol Déanta le daoine níos óga. Really, really loving it, and still love some of the older stuff as well. Love listening to the Cronins or the Saw Doctors or all this big music that's big in Galway. On ceol seo a bhín an war in Aliv. I almost think this year was the first year in 20 years it felt like that the Cronins didn't play the Galway Arts Festival. Bhí sé imlína grá sé seo mar an chéad bhlín le fiche, or an céadúir le fiche bliain nor cheáin na Coronas ag the Galway Arts Festival. So yeah, I think it's a brilliant time for Irish music. But then again, even if I look back 10, 15 years ago, few nor éasca go tí beidir de no cúg blina de go hin. There was brilliant music coming out at that point as well. Bhí ceolíntaach ag teacht amach gas éireann ag an buinte sin freshened, but now I think especially really, really good. Love that album by Fontaines, and a lot of really good songs between Favourite and Starburster and Bug and Desire and so on. Almost everyone is really good. Bíonn gach touched on one I'd love to get. The other one with the red and black cover, is it called Roman Holiday? On a Roman Holiday and Tanum atá air, you'll make Cade von Gade Quinta, Kai may a alurg, anish or Google. Have to look it up on Google, otherwise I won't be able to focus on anything. No, Skinty Fia, it was called Skinty Fia Shin an Tanum atá air, so Bravralam on Kian Shin, a Kianach Freshen. Egan Megan, I'd love to buy that one as well at some point. That has Jackie Down the Line and Roman Holiday and a few others. I thought Jackie Down the Line agus Roman Holiday agus cúpla ceann Ella Erhu. So that's my new addiction. I'm sure there'll be more updates to come on that. Different albums, different things related to that. Cúpla update agus cúpla, well, Bígí nuacht zifriúil madre le sin sa tauki. But yeah, the last thing then I wanted to say on Rut Ceirníní aráma igiri raw. This week is a bit of a mix of everything. The podcast, a bit like last week on Sockton Shot, that's like Mascon. So gach rodagam lahai and Pudcrail. I've been a bit preoccupied really with getting this course out. Bhí me Bígí preoccupied is stocha leis an gcomhsa seo a chur amach agus an launch day in yo agus mar sinja. But now that's done, next week I'll be able to just pick out a topic and kind of focus in on that on Sockton so Hugan. By man an topical one of Yoko Mak agus Giro Isteacht air shin. But I want to talk a bit about Father Ted. To Gary Lord's beginning for Father Ted, because I've just gone back and started kind of watching the episodes from the start to finish. To me Dirk Tareish Dollarash no to me Safroshes Stocha. I'm in the process of kind of watching all the episodes. And I think it's one thing that a lot of people in Ireland, and myself included, along the Indian Aaron, agus Mishis and Orv, we think we know Father Ted and we've watched it loads and whatever. Capmuds go well Agin their Father Ted agus go gach episode fecia agin cúpla or a few times, but I think a lot of us, myself included, have actually in total only know 5 or 6 episodes. Near like Cuig no sé agron a roll the saki. Because, as much as okay, you would be on a Christmas, the Christmas special when you're home, vech sé ar shul, ag am nullag agus tosa in Aaron, agus vech sé whatever. There might be an odd episode on a Saturday night on RT Beidir go make episode one or shul or EJ Sahard or RT, but it's not actually on Irish TV that often. I don't think it would be on BBC anymore. Captain Nivechshe or BBC Nismo, and I'm not sure there's any big streaming platform ever taken it up. Nil Sagam on will say egg a streaming platform, or maybe they're afraid to take it because there's 1 or 2 jokes in there that you wouldn't get away with nowadays. Beidir the Agler who Marielle will joke no go not will to an on raw or that people are a bit too worried about Goldini Buganin Rovorha Fuhu Anish. But oh my goodness, it's so good. Toshikoma Shin, it's easy to forget how funny it is. Like, it's simple, but it's really, really funny. Tosh simply Anna Grandvern. Even though I'd say it's simple, Kagan Yerm Anish Goel Shay simply, it's kind of complicated as well in terms like it's funny but in a very smart way. Like Tasha Granver Ak Imalach Anna Chlishta Dar Lumpsa, in my opinion, at least. And I'm really enjoying going through it, and I've said to myself, I have to actually watch every episode. It's only 25, I think, or even less in total. Nilak Fihikuig, no Bidrin He Slew. There's the 3 series, and then there's the Christmas special as well. So the 3 Shra, agus chomhpháirtíocht shin tá on tagron speisialta lahai on nullig. And just going through them bit by bit, I'm realizing it's just like Dul Street's gach piece episode no lagron, kind of, I suppose, show by show basically. Go bonusach. Realizing how funny is, realizing how amazing the acting is in it. Ag torchvi jar comhpháirtíocht stá an ashtúracht, even though I suppose you wouldn't think about it as an acting masterclass or anything like that, but I think it is really good. And we don't talk about enough around. We always reference it in passing, only being with tSagairt, on shows and shoot, go father head. But it's only when you sit down now, and if you've no plans for tonight or for tomorrow night, sit down there on the couch, get it up on YouTube or your dodgy box or whatever. See, agus her the dodgy box no on television no whatever YouTube or show, and watch an episode or two of Father Jed and realise how great it is. Agus gaiti towards feature gcomhpháirtíocht agus adá you won't forget it. Honestly, it is so good, it's so funny. Tá go más sin chomh grandver sin. I think one of my favourite moments, I remember Tommy Tiernan speaking about this as well, saying it was one of his favourite moments. It's called Tommy Tiernan ag labhairt fao seo nar bhí sé déanú aglah when he was interviewing Arlo Hanlon, who acts as Father Dougal, of course, in the show a bhíon ag déanú aisteacht le Father Dougal. So show speaks about one where Ted and Dougal are going to bed. Ceann amháin le Ted agus Dougal ag dul a chulla, and Ted is about to turn the lights off and says night. Dougal says night, Ted. So turn say, ihuwa, Dougal ihuwa, Ted, and turns off the light. So muchan sé an solas, and he remembers then, like tugan sé fi jar no, anish tá sé ina on sin cuimhníonn sé. Oh, I've forgotten something. That Jarma Jane Togam Dagan. So after 2 seconds, he turns the light back on. 3 second, churn sé an solas arash or shul. And then Dougal thinks it's 8 a.m. in the morning and just puts his hands out, makes a big circle with his hands, just goes, as if he's after sleeping the whole night, because he'll go sé taréis an ihe fad a chudult. And I just think stuff like that is so simple, but so funny in a smart way. Cíchomh simplí sin, ach ag an am céanna, cíchomh granver malach sock simply. So really, really likes that and thought that was very good. Hadn't sé sin gomór lum agus ceapme grá sé anwa. But anyway, that is it, I think, for this week. Sin é le haid an tSagairt seo. Again, bit of a mix of everything. So it's mask on gach on tSagairt seo, but next week we'll be back to more of a specific topic, specific focusing on one thing or another. Rud one, no Rodella. A big thank you as always. Gur míle mágat as a bheith ag éisteacht leis an bud Gaeilge for listening to the podcast. It is really, really appreciated to my fear bhuiachas, especially this week, thinking about releasing this course. Go hurry on tSagairt seo, madra leis an chóirsa seo a launch all I realise, the only reason I can take the time out and make courses like this on Teen Fog will mean on course cosúla seo a dhéanú agus content cosúla seo a dhéanú is because of your guys' support on Patreon and through listening to the podcast or sending me a message or whatever. It is payroad atá ann, and because of that I can make more content, help more people to learn Irish across the world. Marialler sin tá man an níos mó content dhéanú chun cabhrú le níos mó daoine timpeall on that. So, a big thank you for listening. Gur míle mágat as a bheith éisteacht. I'll speak to you guys next week by me glad to live on tSagairt seo hugan. Goodbye and God bless. Slán agus Banach.